Leader, third party.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'd like to begin by thanking the Minister of Health for his work and answers over the last couple of days. We look forward to seeing the changes that he's promised. Thanks to his continued work, the scenarios reported by the military and the truly horrible state in some care homes in Ontario and Quebec have thankfully not been documented to the same extent here in BC. However, Honourable Speaker, here in BC we have heard from elders and family members about serious maltreatment, and in the months leading up to the pandemic, the provincial government did have to take control of 4 care homes due to dangerously low standards of care. The latest report from the BC Seniors Advocate highlights the many areas we are continuing to fail to regulate and where care homes, despite increased funding, fall short. My questions for you, Honourable Speaker, is for the Minister of Health. Will the Minister commit to increasing the frequency and length of inspections in BC long-term care homes and assisted living facilities as a measure to assure British Columbians that seniors are living with the dignity and respect that they deserve?
Minister of Health.
Well, thank you to the member for her question. In British Columbia, health inspections under the Community Care and Assisted Living Act are done under the auspices of medical health officers and the health authorities. Last year, there were 677 such inspections in British Columbia, and this year we're at about the same rate through 5 months. In 2020, we've done about 293 inspections, or those health officers have. The member refers to the care homes that have been taken under the administration of health authorities. Those are, I think, examples of how vigorously our teams in public health and how seriously they take these issues, that in all of those cases, standards weren't met and action was taken both by health authority boards, by me, and by licensing officers. So we're continuing to ensure and work to ensure the quality of care. I want to add to this that some of the most important ways we've done this are the 2,293,000 care hours we've added under the 3.36 initiative. 2 million of those care hours have gone to public beds in private and private not-for-profit and for-profit facilities. It's an indication of our determination to improve the quality of care, as has the effort of everyone together, of Team BC, of care operators, public and private, over the last number of months that have allowed us in BC, while facing the huge challenges for long-term care of this pandemic, to have a record that I think deserves respect. And so we're going to continue that work, continue the significant effort by public health, and I want to thank everyone involved in public health who works with the care home sector, who fought and worked to ensure that seniors are kept protected in the pandemic. I want to thank them, and you know they will continue to have the resources they need.
Leader, third party on a supplemental.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And I do want to join the Minister of Health in commending all of the hard work of people who have taken care of our most vulnerable in this pandemic. However, I do think there is a role that government does need to play in oversight, and the Minister mentions the number of care hours in BC. And in fact, he has pointed to the government's increased funding of direct care hours in the last few days to the provincial standard to 3.36 hours of care per resident per day. And while we support this initiative, and of course the issue of care hours is incredibly important, the question of sufficient oversight and monitoring remains. We currently lack a system robust enough to accurately monitor the actual hours of care delivered. So while the government may fund 3.36 hours of care per resident per day, there is no system robust enough to ensure those hours are actually being delivered. In fact, according to the BC Seniors Advocate, the current system used to try and calculate delivered care hours may actually overstate the actual number of care hours delivered. And I'd hope and expect that the Minister is as concerned as we are about the 207,000 hours of taxpayer-funded care that were not delivered in the for-profit sector in 2017-2018. My questions for you, Honourable Speaker, is once again to the Minister of Health. What additional steps is the government going to take to create a more robust monitoring system for delivered direct care hours to ensure that public funds are being used for the sole purpose of providing direct care to seniors?
Minister of Health.
Well, thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I want to make the distinction between the licensing inspections that take place to ensure the quality of care. Those are separate from the financial decisions that are made for good reason, so that there is no conflict of interest and that our licensing officers can focus on what they need to focus on, which is the quality of care. When we decided on the 3.36 initiative at that time, 44 of 293 eligible care homes met provincial standards, and now a majority do. And all 44 of those at the time were health authority owned and operated at that time. We've made significant improvements. And when we decided to spend on an annualized basis the $110 million required to lift the average care standard up to 3.36, we put in place monitoring measures. I agree that there are things to learn from the report of the Seniors Advocate, which is the member notes assessed statistics from 2016-17 and 17-18. I think improvements can be made. As I suggested in my answer yesterday, more improvements would be made, but I think we can say, all of us can say, that the increase in care standards and the response of the entire health system, both those offering care in for-profit, nonprofit, and health authority owned and operated care, has been extraordinary and a collective effort, a Team BC effort that all of us can be proud of.